I read the other day that you can't bring up your kids today in the same way as I was brought up because it's a different world. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video because I kind of don't agree. Now, if you're new here, I just want to say hello, I'm James, and I've been doing this YouTube thingy for the last couple of years, talking about different values and ethics and encouragement and advice of life lessons, all that kind of stuff. And if you are new, put your name down below. Let me see who you are so I can say hello to you. So let's have a talk about this. They say that the values and the ethics that we were brought up with as children don't work in this modern world. Well, let's just have a look at how things are, because to me, all the new values and all the things that they say that we should be doing now, because it's so different, aren't road tested. They've not been tried out before. The values and ethics that I was brought up with have been there for years and years and years. And so therefore, they've been through the run of the mill. Lots of people have used them and lots of people have tried them. Let's have a look at respect. Now, when I was a boy, my mum and dad used to say to me, respect your elders. Now, I know respect should be earned before just giving it willy-nilly. However, back when I was a child, it was 15 years after World War II. So many of the adults of my age had been in the war. They'd fought overseas for the country. They'd done their bit. My granddad had been in World War I. So there were lots of reasons why you should respect those people. And I still agree with that today. In fact, I would say you should respect everyone until they give you the reason not to. And that's the way I've always been. And so I've always thought about listening to my elders. As a young boy, I had an uncle. Well, he was a great uncle, my dad's uncle, who would have been in his 80s when I was about 19. And I used to sit with him and he'd tell me these stories of things that have gone on over the years as he was growing up. And it was so interesting and I learnt so much from him. So they have that track record of having lived a life and having gone through the mill that you can learn so much from. And that's still the same today, because youngsters today are no different to when I was a youngster. I remember I thought I knew it all, but then again, in my 20s and my 19s and so on, I was still stupid. And I thought, my mum and dad are so old-fashioned. And they were old-fashioned, and I'm old-fashioned, and I love that, because I was taught things like responsibility. My mum and dad never sugarcoated my life. If I did anything that was wrong, they made sure I took responsibility for it. And isn't that a good thing, even today? Shouldn't you be responsible for your own thoughts and your actions? It's all well and good. My mum and dad used to say to me, it's all well and good you saying so-and-so told me to do it, but at the end of the day, you are responsible for you. And I'm sure that is still the same in this day and age. I know we've all got the internet and I know we've all got these phones that are like computers, but that doesn't take away your responsibility of doing things for yourself. My dad used to talk to me about character and integrity and things that I wasn't bothered with at the time, but once that I've now realised all these years later that without character, without integrity, what do you really have? Because it's about how people treat you, how you look after yourself, how you treat yourself. People will go to the level that you allow them to. And it took me till I was in my mid-50s to get comfortable in my own skin. But that integrity, if people think a thing of you that isn't true, and it attacks your integrity, you know it. It's your integrity is down to you. Your character is down to you. It's the way you live your life and the values and the ethics that you have with your life. Well, if that isn't something that's good in this day and age, then I don't know what is. My mum and dad used to say to me, treat people as you want to be treated. And isn't that a good tenet to live your life by? You treat people the way you want to be treated. So if you don't want to be treated like an animal, don't treat people like an animal. It's a dead simple thing. If you want people to be nice to you, be nice back. One of the things that over the years I learned, and it probably took me to becoming, I don't know, a young adult, I suppose, to be sure about this, but I've kind of lived my life in a way that when I meet somebody new, they're up there at the top. There's nothing wrong with them. I like them already. But what happens is, it's up to them to lower my opinion of them. Their thoughts, their actions, the things that they say, they're the things that decide whether they stay up there or drop down there on my list. It's not about me, it's about them. And I watch what they do. If I see someone treat someone badly, well, they've dropped in my opinion. I can remember I went for a job, my very first job, when I was in the winter. I'd worked for my dad all the time, but in the winter I used to go out and find a job. My first job, I went to an electrical shop, and I had that interview, and the man said to me, if a knight of the realm comes into the shop and a dustbin man comes into the shop, who do you serve better? And my answer to that was, they're both exactly the same. You treat them both the same. And isn't that the way it's supposed to be in life? Yeah, I'd treat the dustbin man better than the Lord of the Realm, really, because if the Lord of the Realm went missing, I wouldn't really notice. But if a dustbin man didn't turn up outside my house for a month, well. So, you know what I mean, though. And it's all these kinds of things that they tell me aren't of use in this day and age. Well, I'm not so sure. One of the things my parents taught me as a child was the value of hard work. When I was little, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6, I don't know, can't remember. But my mum used to play games with me. We had an amusement arcade, which meant that we were dealing with money all the time. And as a little boy, I can remember my mum playing this game with me where she'd get loads of different coins and she'd put them on the table, and I'd have to give her the change, the right money. So if someone came in with a £1 note at the time, she'd say to me, I want a shilling's worth of pennies. How would you give me the change? We played this game until I worked out how to give change for the right money. And do you know what they did? They put me in the cash desk in the arcade. I couldn't have been no more than 6, and I was dealing with money. Now, that was pre-decimal in this country. And even now, I still think in pre-decimal money, because that's the way I was taught. And then I would be in the cash desk, and as the years went on, we'd have an arcade and that, and I would have to get up at 7:30 in the morning, go in the arcade, clean all the machines, get the arcade ready to open at 9. And then I'd be in the arcade right through the day. I'd come in for breakfast, I'd come in for dinner, I'd come in for tea, and go straight back out and look after the arcade and mind the arcade. And then we'd shut at night, and the next day it was like Groundhog Day. We'd do the same thing day in and day out. And I can remember once asking my dad if I could have half a day off. And he said to me, sure you can. Once you've worked 12 hours, then you can have the other half off. So if you start at 7, you finish at 7 at night. So it's not really much half a day, is it? Because the rest of the night, after the night, you'll be asleep. But that's how it was. And we were taught that when you went to work, that's what you did. And so the value of hard work, it seemed hard to me at the time. And I can remember having a conversation with my dad, or more likely a rant or a moan, and saying to him, do you know what, Dad, I'll never treat my kids like you, making us work as hard as we have and just being as strict as you are. And I suppose I was like those who are saying it now, the values of today aren't the same. Well, guess what? Once I had my boys, I realised that I'd been wrong all the time and my dad had been right. All those things that I needed to learn, he'd taught me along with my mum from when I was a small boy. And so they're important. As was this one. This one was one of my mum's, and she was very, very repetitive about it. She'd go on to me all the time. And that one was, you can't ever remake a first impression. So always be your best. And I can remember every time I used to go out, my mum used to tell me this. And she said, people always judge you by their first impression of you. And isn't that true? When you think about it, when you meet new people, have you ever been in a position where you've seen someone you can make your mind up really, really quickly about them? Well, those are the sorts of things that we talked about. And the final one I really want to talk about is discipline. And I used to think, as I was growing up, that discipline was a thing that the teachers did to you when you were a bad boy at school. But discipline is something that you do yourself. And it's not something bad, it's something good. It's discipline that means when you start something, you carry on until you finish. You don't give up halfway through. It's discipline that makes sure that you don't quit at the first sign of trouble when you're doing something. It's discipline that just keeps you there and keeps you on the right track. And they're all things that are values that they tell me won't work in today's society, that they're old-fashioned and that they're of no use to this new generation. My answer to that is, when I was young, I thought that too. But then again, I was stupid when I was young. It took me years to sort of work out that all those old-fashioned values, those things that seemed okay in my parents' day but not in mine, actually carried through into adulthood for me and made a lot of difference. And I think they will for you too. And I think they will for all these people in the years to come. Yes, it's a different world, totally, from when I was a boy. Things have changed so much. People have changed so much. But the one thing that I'm sure of is that the values and the ethics that we've had from way back when are what keep us growing as people. And without those, what do you have? I could go on. But the truth of the matter is, you know, and I do, that these values, these things that are laughed at in this day and age, and that we're told we need to be different, I think they're wrong. I think there are new values that need to be learnt along the way because it's an ever-changing world. But I think the basics will see you through for years and years to come. They've been tested through years and years, and they've proved worthy of keeping. And so that's it from me today. If you'd like to watch another video, there's one just there, and I'll tell you what, it'll probably be a good one as well. The reason I know is that I did it. Oh, blowing my own trumpet. I'll see you next time.